Today on Investigate TV, natural gas explosions killing Americans, wiping out neighborhoods. Hear what gas companies do and don't have to report to the government.
I saw a ball of flame coming at me. The noise was like nothing I'd ever heard.
Plus, a historic drought shrinking our reservoirs. But in one state, a broken pipeline wasting massive amounts of water.
There's as much as 2 million, sometimes 3 million gallons a month that get lost.
And utility costs are climbing. Experts warn it could be a while before they level off.
Higher electricity prices are going to remain with us for quite some time now. I think definitely for the rest of the summer, if not for the rest of the year.
Hear how you can save money. Investigate TV starts right now. Hello and welcome to Investigate TV. I'm Lee Zurich. Natural gas is an abundant, economical energy source. It burns cleaner than coal and oil. Across the U.S., nearly 3 million miles of pipelines help pump it into our homes. But with this infrastructure comes incredible risk. Since 2010, natural gas leaks have caused hundreds of explosions. Our national investigative team's Josie Sturman explains in Silent Threat.
Where do you have it? Where are you at?
It happens often with no warning.
We have a house explosion. Holy.
A silent threat lurking beneath the ground, suddenly igniting. Buildings blown apart in an instant.
Somebody's in there.
Lives lost and forever changed.
Right there, she's under the couch.
By natural gas leaks that linger and turn catastrophic.
I saw a ball of flame coming at me.
Wayne Sargent survived it.
I just can't believe what I'm looking at here is what had actually happened to me.
What happened was front page news in Sargent's hometown of Gloucester, Massachusetts for 4 straight days in 2009. Stunning photos show the day the home his grandfather built nearly 100 years ago exploded after natural gas from an underground leak nearby built up in his basement.
The noise was like nothing I'd ever heard. The roar of the building coming apart.
Sargent was buried under a pile of rubble, with neighbors running to free him. The very people who rescued him had been reporting leaks for days leading up to the explosion that leveled his house and took the life of his beloved dog Penny.
There's an autographed baseball.
What could be salvaged now sits in glass-covered cases in Sargent's living room, shattered, soot-covered reminders of an experience that still haunts him.
It's been more than a decade since this happened, but it still feels so fresh.
It's something that it damaged and it hurt so much. The pain, it never goes away.
After the fire, Sargent spent several days in intensive care with severe burns to his hands and head. 13 years later, he's still dealing with PTSD, channeling his pain into efforts to raise awareness about natural gas leaks.
I didn't want what happened to me to happen to someone else.
But incidents as shocking as Sargent's have happened across the nation. In 2010, a pipeline ruptured underneath a neighborhood in San Bruno, California, sending natural gas spewing out of a crater 72 feet long. The inferno that resulted killed 8 people, injured more than 50, and wiped 38 homes off the map. In 2018, footage shows the aftermath of explosions and fires that rocked 3 towns outside Boston after investigators determined failures in the engineering management of an ongoing project mistakenly sent the full pressure of the natural gas system into customers' homes. Dozens were injured, and an 18-year-old was killed while sitting outside a house that exploded. And in 2019, a Ring camera in Philadelphia captured this: crews battling an enormous fire that erupted following a natural gas leak. A new lawsuit blames the leak on a crack in the city's aging, corroded pipes. The 5 row homes that once stood here are gone, destroyed in the fire that took the lives of 2 people. Those are the stories, but we wanted to know the numbers to see how often major gas-related incidents happen and result in disaster. Our national investigative team spent the last few months analyzing 12 years' worth of data from PHMSA, the Federal Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. The agency requires utilities to report gas-related incidents that meet certain criteria, including those with deaths, injuries that require hospitalization, or result in damage totaling more than $122,000. Using PHMSA's data, we found that since 2010, there have been more than 2,700 significant gas leak incidents across the country. 362 of those resulted in explosions. And in the last 12 years, major leak incidents have injured nearly 700 people and killed more than 140.
So what that tells you is that these gas leaks, these incidents, these explosions, they're not one-off, they're not isolated, they are a symptom of the energy system that pipes explosive, dangerous gas through our neighborhoods and to our homes.
Matt Cassell is with the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, or PIRG, which recently released a report highlighting what it sees as the dangers associated with natural gas.
Do you think most people are aware of the risk that is literally right underneath them?
I don't think people are aware that this is such a widespread problem where there are these constant and continuous leaks in our system, in the pipelines that are bringing the gas to our homes that, pose this risk that they could light or explode really at any time.
The risk, PIRG believes, is even higher given only a fraction of the nation's leaks have to be disclosed to the government. Every year, there are an estimated 600,000 leaks, and that's just in the local systems that bring gas to our homes, according to a recent study.
The gas utilities need to be focusing their investment on identifying and fixing leaks. That should be priority number one.
But leak repairs can be like a game of whack-a-mole with higher stakes. Federal data shows the number of major leak incidents throughout the entire natural gas system has remained steady over the last decade.
Almost all of our leaks are caused by two things.
Christina Sames is the Vice President for Safety Operations and Security for the American Gas Association, which represents the distributors, the companies that deliver gas into our houses. She points out excavation damage and outside forces from things like cars hitting gas meters account for more than half of all leaks and serious incidents associated with distribution lines. But our data digging also shows at least 20% of the distribution incidents were linked to factors like incorrect operation, equipment failures, and corrosion.
Sorry, I get a little emotional when I talk about incidents. The expectation is that every operator, I'm sorry, just give me a second.
It makes you emotional. Why?
Because when you look at the statistics, just in a relatively short period of time, that is a lot of lives, and that's a lot of incidents. So I get upset for the things that are out of our control. For the things that are in our control, I get upset that we didn't have the technology to, in many cases, to identify the issue.
Their issues, Sames says, are now being identified and fixed faster through what the industry calls integrity management, where companies look for threats to the lines that move gas around the nation and decide what should be replaced, repaired, or watched. Leak surveys are a key part of that.
Definitely always important to do this job correctly.
Companies across the country showed us the tools they're using, from cars that can pick up leaks while driving by to drones that can spot them from miles away.
It's pretty sensitive.
For now, handheld leak detectors at the street level are still the go-to, with crews conducting routine surveys to check for gas in the air. And patrols also looking for visual signs of leakage or damage. But the federal requirements only call for gas companies to do those inspections once a year in business districts and once every 5 years in less populated areas. Sames says most operators go beyond those requirements. But even when they spot a leak and make a repair, it doesn't always mean the problem is solved.
I was living in a different kind of ignorance, I guess, prior to coming out here with the camera.
After being told by her gas company last year that a series of leaks on her Pennsylvania street had been fixed, Melissa Ostroff decided to do her own inspection, taking out a special gas detection imaging camera she happened to have for her job as a certified thermographer.
It is specially calibrated to see hydrocarbons, including methane, that would otherwise be invisible to the naked eye.
Ostroff captured these images, showing natural gas flowing out of a manhole cover on the street between her apartment and an elementary school. What do you think would have happened on this street if you and that special gear hadn't detected these leaks?
I mean, there's no way to know what would have happened, but there could have been an explosion potentially.
And right now, there's no federal requirement for companies to immediately or directly notify the public about the leaks they find, how they've been graded for risk, and when they'll be repaired, something advocacy groups say needs to change. Do gas companies have a responsibility to let people know about leaks where they live?
They actually have a lot of information that is available to the public. Every operator is required to file an annual report.
But that's at the end of the year. We're talking about actively right now on my street. If there's a leak, shouldn't I know about it?
If it's hazardous, then the companies are going to make sure that you're aware, stay out of this area. If it's potentially impacting your house, they will make sure you're evacuated. They're going to take the precautions to keep you safe.
Wayne Sargent doesn't feel that way. Leaks had been reported and crews worked on the gas lines in his neighborhood in the weeks leading up to the explosion that took the only home he's ever known. But he didn't learn about the scope until after he lost nearly everything. His house has now been rebuilt on the same site, marked in a way that almost feels like a museum, honoring what happened. Do you think you'll ever truly be able to put this completely behind you?
I don't think so. It's always with me. Certain things will trigger what I remember from that morning, and but I learned to live with it, and that's what you have to do.
Coming up, we speak to a senator demanding tougher natural gas leak laws. More in his fight for transparency after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. Natural gas leaks triggering explosions, engulfing streets in flames. In the last 12 years, this silent threat has killed more than 140 Americans. Let's bring in investigative reporter Josie Sturman for more. Josie, let's start with the government. What are they doing to minimize the risk of these deadly blasts?
Well, Lee, much of this actually happens after the fact. As we've mentioned, gas companies have to report these leaks to the federal government under certain criteria. And after some of these major explosions, there have been these massive fines. Take San Bruno, California, for instance. That was an explosion that actually killed 8 people. And the company that the government says was responsible was actually hit with a $1.6 billion penalty by California's Public Utility Commission. And that doesn't even include the millions in civil lawsuits. But the federal government actually wants more proactive steps to be taken here. They want to find these leaks before they ever turn disastrous or take lives. So the National Transportation Safety Board actually put natural gas leak detection on its most wanted list of safety improvements last year. They've called that essential, Lee.
Now, based on your reporting, it seems like there are some holes in the system when it comes to inspections, oversight, and disclosure. You sat down recently with a senator I know who's been trying to close some of them.
That's right. We're talking about Senator Ed Markey, and he knows the devastation that these gas explosions can cause. That's what motivated him to lobby for tougher legislation. Back in 2018, in his home state of Massachusetts, they had a huge explosion. It sparked a ton of fires, forced 30,000 people out of their homes. After that, he pushed through this legislation known as the Pipes Act. The whole purpose of that legislation was basically to set minimum standards for leak detection and repair. But Senator Markey told us it's still not enough. He wants more action, not just to find those leaks, but to let the public know where they are.
Many of these pipes are over 100 years old. Their life expectancy has already elapsed, and they sit there like ticking time bombs, potentially. if the proper safety measures are not taken.
Should we be putting more money towards identifying where these leaks are and addressing them first, rather than worrying about long-term upgrades?
We need to have the most dangerous leaks dealt with now. We have to ensure that we have the proper funding to deal with the most dangerous leaks, and they should be identified. But simultaneously, we should also be investing in wind and solar and energy efficiency so that we look at natural gas in a rearview mirror.
Should there be an obligation from the gas companies to publish this information so people know if there are leaks that exist where they live?
Yes, I think there should be total transparency. I think the public has a right to know. If there's a danger, tell the public, because then there'll be a public response demanding change, demanding safeguards be put in place, demanding that their families be protected.
And if you want to look up gas leaks in your state, just go to our website, InvestigateTV.com, and search Silent Threat. Our website has an interactive map that shows the number of incidents in distribution lines reported to the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration.
Thanks, Josie. Up next, a broken water line, millions of gallons of water wasted, and few officials taking steps to fix it. The details after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. A brutal mega drought in the West, the nation's largest reservoirs drying up, and this shortage isn't just impacting drinking water, it's hurting food production, threatening power supplies, and causing wildfires. But as the West endures this crisis, a pipe system in Hawaii is leaking shocking amounts of water every month. Allison Blair from our station in Honolulu has more.
Beneath this hangar and part of the runway at Dillingham Airfield is a wasteful mess that many government leaders don't want to talk about. An underground water leak. Several, actually.
There's as much as 2 million, sometimes 3 million gallons a month that get lost. It's a bit of a mystery where all the water goes.
After a month of making requests, State Senator Gil Riviere was the only government official who agreed to do an interview about the broken pipes, a problem he's desperately trying to solve. He says breaks in the line were identified a decade before he took office.
2005 was when it was first noticed that they were over pumping.
The they he's referring to is the Department of Transportation Airports Division. Although the well sits on Army property, Riviere says DOT agreed to take over maintenance of the water system when it started leasing the land where Dillingham Airfield sits more than a half century ago.
They're permitted a certain amount, 55,000 gallons a day, which is approximately 1.6 million gallons a month. And they've been exceeding that regularly for 17 years now, sometimes very much in excess.
In addition to the airport hangars and skydiving operations, line serves several nearby homes, Camp Erdman, the satellite tracking station, and Mokuleia Beach Park. This is a rough map of the water system. The blue indicates existing lines. The area in orange is where Riviere says leaks are the worst.
It's so bad that the plan is to abandon that pipe and then redo it and go around.
He says it's not the first time DOT has attempted to make repairs on the decaying system.
Under this tarp is 1,700 feet of pipe paid for by the state several years ago to fix the leaks. Today, it's still sitting here, unused.
It never quite got to action stage. I just think it hasn't been a priority for them, frankly, to get it done.
The Department of Health's Safe Water Drinking Branch declined to comment on the situation. DOT's Airports Division also refused to do an interview. After weeks of requests, the agency sent us a statement that said repairs are expected to take close to 2 years, saying the design of the bypass must go through the federal, state environmental, and archaeological process and be approved by the U.S. Army before work can begin. The exact cost of the project is unclear.
It's really a shame that more attention wasn't given to repairing the leaks sooner.
That's not the only dilemma.
The storage tank up the hill there is 100,000 gallons. It's old, it's spalling, it needs some refurbishing.
There's no plan for how that will be accomplished, an issue that could jeopardize the neighborhood's access to water. That's because Riviere says come 2024, DOT will be able to relinquish its responsibility over the water system. And right now, there's no other agency that wants to step in and take over.
Nobody's willing to accept a decrepit system. It needs to be fixed and brought up to an adequate standard. People who live off the airfield depend on the water, and so we cannot turn it off. That's just not a possibility.
Want to hear more stories like this? Check out the Investigate TV YouTube page for our latest content and partnerships, including our story, Defective. It shows a manufacturer delayed a warning on a baby product tied to more than a dozen deaths. Coming up, 85% of homeowners saying they've seen a jump in at least one utility bill. We'll tell you how to handle the price hikes after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. The cost of living is climbing, and it's getting harder to stretch a dollar. But consumer investigator Rachel DePompa shows us some ways to save money.
Inflation is creeping into our utility bills. 87% of Americans surveyed by Save on Energy said they have taken measures to reduce home energy costs over the past year. 62% of homeowners saw the biggest jump in their electricity bill. That's compared to 44% noticing the gas bills are rising. 43% said they noticed higher cable and TV subscriptions.
Higher electricity prices are going to remain with us for quite some time now. I think definitely for the rest of the summer, if not for the rest of the year.
So what can you do about it? Energy expert Saltanat Bertikeva says you should conduct a home energy audit to find out where you are losing energy and wasting money. She says you should weatherize your home for each season, which includes insulating your doors and windows. Using energy efficient appliances also helps. Even something as simple as turning off the lights in rooms when you leave them can cut costs.
Taking shorter showers can make a difference because, hot water can be expensive. Turning off air conditioning when you're not using it, hand drying your laundry, managing your thermostat.
Save on Energy says families earning less than $40,000 are really feeling the rise in energy costs. And keep in mind, many states and the federal government offers programs to help families with their utility bills. Just search the keywords online, Energy Assistance Program. With this, Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
If you're looking for more investigative reporting on demand, download our streaming apps on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And that's it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Investigate TV. We'll see you next week.